Got Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com. Well, that was almost something. Boy, oh boy, Oilers come close to pulling off a comeback for the ages, but a late goal from the Los Angeles Kings, and we got a whole bunch of conversation that we need to have. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. Playoff postgame edition. Really happy to have you along for the ride. Give me a really good show tonight, man. We got a lot to unpack from what was a pretty up and down, back and forth, exciting game one. 6-5, the Kings take game one and a 1-0 lead in the series. The show is always brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta, the official gambling partner of all the major Alberta teams. Whoever you cheer for, Play Alberta is cheering you on. Bet on your favorites, get in on odds boosts, and make game time more interesting. If you deposit today, you get a $50 free bet with the code GYB04. Visit playalberta.ca. Coming at you from my Adrenaline Diesel studio. Did you know they now have an online store for all your diesel truck parts needs? Check out adrenalinediesel.ca. Rob Brown will be joining us in a little bit, but for now we got Struddy and we got Zuby at Growler Media World Headquarters in Kelowna. Well, boys, that was a fun one. We have lots to break down. You know what? Even before we get into the breakdown, though, because I know people are going to want to talk about it a ton, Struds, let's just deal with this right off the hop. I'm saying it. No goaltending change for game number 2. They're not pulling the rug out from underneath Stuart Skinner. He was not the core problem. That team was nowhere to be found for the first half of the game. I am not making a goaltending change. I want your 2 opinions before we get going here.
Zuby, you go, buddy.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'll change him. And not because I think he was the problem tonight, just because I think of the way that the team kind of rolled in the last 10, 20 games here when he was injured, and Pickard played very well. And you're on the road. Yeah, I don't know. I would change. I'd give Pickard a start.
Yeah, I'm going to leave Skinner in there too, I think. And I understand where you're coming from, Zoobs. But when I look back, I went back and watched all the goals. The only one I didn't like was the 5th one. And, there's something that happened previous to that probably could have been adjusted. But so, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, that final goal, like, he did have a 6'2", 225-pound guy right in his way, jumping around. And I don't know. I mean, he was clearly screened. He probably could have played it a little bit better, maybe a little bit more aggressively. I'm not sure. It was a weird one because it was sort of a shot that misfired, but there was clearly a screen there, was there not, Zuby?
There was, and I'll tell you, and this isn't an excuse too, but it's a black jersey and a fan shot and the player jumping. It's an awkward set of circumstances. I have no doubt for what Stu saw on that shot, and it's easy to say if he had just stood up and not gone down, it probably would have hit him in the shoulder, but that's the way. I mean, that's just the way the position is now. You feel a shot coming on a one-timer. He's a big guy. You take care of the make sure it doesn't go in along the ice, so he's going to be down. So that's the easy way. But that the black jersey and a flipping puck is like, it's kind of a strange thing, but it's real.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. And I was going to suggest just stand in there and fight, a little bit more. It felt like he just kind of accepted it going by him, and maybe that's unfair, Zuby. I was never in that position. I guess it's just heartbreaking when your team fires back like that and then broken play, goal.
Yeah, that was a tough way to get beat. Absolutely just a screeching halt to an otherwise pretty fantastic comeback. So a lot going on in that game. We got lots to break down. Let's get to the breakdown, brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. Only at your Alberta Ram dealer during the month of April. Get a Cummins turbo diesel engine at no charge when you purchase a 2024 Ram heavy-duty truck. That's up to $94.50 in value. The offer will not last, so make sure you go and check these beautiful vehicles out. Just badass on the inside and out. See your dealer today, or local Ram dealer today. Okay, lots to break down. I kind of want to go in a somewhat chronological order here, Struds. There's a lot to organize tonight. We've had our say on the goaltenders. I felt, Struds, that one of the biggest issues the Oilers were going to have coming into this series was their lack of continuity. We've talked about it a ton. Line combinations that hadn't played together, D pairings that were all over the place. I truly felt that in the first 30-plus minutes of the game, that was one of the issues that they had. I thought they were stuck. I thought they were stalled. And I thought, on the first two goals, you got a guy that's barely played any hockey in the last month in Josh Brown, penalty killing, standing in front of the net with neither a body nor a stick. And then on the second goal, you got a line that's just freshly put together with Frederick, Nugent Hopkins, and Skinner. You got three guys on one side of the ice, plus a defenseman, all stacked up along the boards, leaving the middle of the ice open on the other side. Like, these are not things that happen when there is continuity. To me, I thought it bit them a little bit, the lack of continuity on those first two goals.
Yeah, and I'm not going to do too much as far as the pairings. I don't think that you can figure there's only two of you. But your point about Josh Brown is well made. The forward lines, they looked like they didn't look comfortable. And I thought what you're talking about specifically expressed itself on the power play. I mean, the first power play within 30, 50 seconds, I know it's a little bit more, let's call it 50 seconds, three times the Oilers had to go back and break it out of their own zone. And LA was ultra aggressive on the penalty kill. They're like, if you're going to beat us, you got to pass it around us. They were all over the Oilers on that penalty kill, and the Oilers weren't set up and weren't ready and quick enough. They can do it because we've seen them fight or compete against really quick really quick penalty kills, but the Oilers just weren't in sync, to maybe use a better word. So I thought that really expressed itself. And it was tough slogging, 6 shots through half the game against a team that wants to play that way. They want you to kind of not get shots against.
So let's run down the goals. Do you agree with me? I mean, that first power play goal for the Kings, like, I'm not going to pin it entirely on Brown. I just think it's a bad look when you're standing there and you don't have either somebody's stick or a body. You're kind of standing in no man's land. And again, this guy's barely played any hockey, barely ended up playing any hockey tonight. We wondered why he was in the lineup. All due respect to Josh Brown, none of us understood it. 4 minutes and 54 seconds he plays tonight. 4 minutes and 54 seconds, and he ends up on a penalty kill that gives one up. I didn't like the way he looked on that goal. You?
Okay, so first off, this was going to be my Strides world, but I'll say it now. Playing someone 4 minutes in a penalty killing role, you're not given a chance to have success. That's just fact. That's just the way it is. I'd say just don't play him. Just play 5, because it's really hard. You're just sitting there waiting for a chance to get out there against that or the fourth line. So really unfair position they put him in. 2, Wallman and Brown, I don't think they've played together on the PK all year, and they're both out there. Now, to be fair, you've got Kulak in the penalty box, I believe, at that moment, right? Correct? Ekholm's not there.
Yeah.
So now your options are fairly limited, right? Or not fairly limited, but you don't have the normal cast of characters. So you have 2 people out there who haven't killed penalties together and are not in your top grouping of pairings of killers. So again, not setting them up for success. And then you're right, Josh Brown, he wasn't aware that Kuzma goes behind him. And great play, great pass, boom, tap in back door. Tough way to start the game 2 minutes into the game.
Okay, pushing ahead to the second goal against, you've got Frederick, Nugent Hopkins, and Skinner. Skinner's battling hard along the wall. He ends up falling over. I think he lost his stick there. Struds, it just looked to me like, Frederick didn't cover. He just didn't cover the middle of the ice. Skinner and Nugent Hopkins both engaged along the wall. Frederick all of a sudden wanders over. Wallman's in there as well. Zuby, did you have that screenshot I sent you? Did you grab it?
Yeah, I do have it.
Do you have it? Bring it up here. I just want to show you this example, Struds. A line that has continuity, that's used to playing together. Guys, this doesn't happen. They're stacked up 4 guys along the wall. Look at the middle of the ice. Puck ends up over in the middle of the ice there. Then Nuge lost his man on the way back to the net. I didn't love this look at all. And again, it's a line that's playing, has never played together, Struddy.
Yeah, I'll challenge you a bit on that. When you're a left winger, it doesn't matter if you're playing with two garbage cans or Mario and Gretzky. You know where your spot is, right? So Trent Frederick, I think it's more about him being out of sync as a player in that situation more than out of sync as a line.
He was a right winger tonight, Struds. That was Skinner's wing on the far side.
Right.
So Frederick needed to cover him.
But Skinner was the first guy back, was he not? That was the big hit along the wall. Then he's back there. So when you see that, you have to adjust and say, oh, there's someone there. I've got to go and do that in their spot. So in that moment, he is the left winger. You don't need to have duplication.
Yeah.
Not only do they have duplication.
So we're not disagreeing.
Yeah. So, this isn't about being in sync as a line. This is him being out of sync as a player in this situation.
Sure.
Because it's different. You've got to recognize that you're in the NHL. You don't need two people doing the same job, right? So you're saying, okay, there's someone right in my spot. I've got to slide back into the middle of the ice. That's just how it is, right? You don't need to put someone else in there because there was the big hit, then another big hit. And I think Frederick is involved in the second big hit, and he should be skating right back to the middle of the ice because he sees that Skinner's in there. Now that's where Skinner gets his stick knocked out of his hand, if I remember correctly. And I think he could have made a harder play there. Like this is the playoffs. Heavy, hard play, make it hard, get it out, and let's go. He gets his stick knocked out, puts his hands up, and now we're in trouble. So multiple things happening there, but I don't think it relates to the three of them playing together. I think it's Frederick being out of sync more, like breakouts, things like that. That's where the out of sync, I think, happens more as a fresh line.
Not a great goal there for Skinner, I would say. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe a little far out, doesn't get the push over. He's not like it ended up getting banked in off of him, right? So not ideal there, I would say. Probably could have managed that a little better. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, and I like the play by Byfield, right? I mean, that was a lucky goal. He shoots it at his back, right? Hoping it's going to go in there. Again, there's duplication in front. If I remember correctly, I want to say is it Wallman and Nuge are in front, kind of both together. No one picks up Byfield, even just to get a stick on there, just to challenge that stick.
It was Nuge's guy. For me, it was Nuge. Like Nugent Hopkins skates to the middle of the ice. He's just looking at where the puck is and not. Wallman had his guy, and Nugent Hopkins didn't pick anybody up. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, so you get your stick in there just to put it, just to make it harder, right? And that's the whole goal of defending is just to make it harder to get to the front of the net, make it harder to get to the middle of the ice. So I think that's one that there's, I think Knobloch used the terms like there was some mistakes we like to have back or some defensive reads are poor. And there's a lot there. Skinner not getting it out. Frederick not taking the middle of the ice. Maybe Skinner, the goalie, being a little quicker to push over and Nuge getting a stick on it, right? Is it who's most at fault? Well, I think they all can wear some of that one.
Yeah, for sure. So now you're down 2 Cobb and you think, okay, time for the Oilers to turn it up a little notch here. It's time for them to get it going, Struds. They get absolutely squat offensively. Basically, most of the second period. LA did such a fantastic job of closing down the middle of the ice, making sure forwards were back to thwart any sort of rushes for the Oilers. We saw McDavid and Draisaitl trying multiple times to get stuff going off the rush. Knobloch, he threw them together for the odd shift here or there, largely kind of tried to keep the lines together through that portion. I didn't like the lines to start with, but anyway, I think the Kings deserve credit through that middle portion. We'll get to the other goals against in a minute here, but I think the Kings deserve a lot of credit for the way they played in that middle portion.
Yeah, I'm going to give credit to Kevin Bieksa during the intermission. He talked about how the Kings are playing above him, above all of the Oilers. So what does that mean? That means that you're always between your man and the net. So when a center swings down to get it, instead of chasing behind him and water skiing behind him, you're getting in front of him. And you're just kind of slowing him down, getting in his way, not necessarily trying to stop him, just trying to disrupt him. And then they don't hit the red line with as much speed or the blue line with as much speed. And that maybe gives your D-man a chance to stand up and poke the puck off. Or even better, they have to chip it in behind you so they can go get it.
Yeah. So masterful job by the Kings. And the Oilers are not able to generate a lot. At the same time, Struds, they start making some bad mistakes. So Evan Bouchard on back-to-back goals to me is the primary mistake on both. The way I saw it, a turnover up the wall, gets lost, falls behind the net. It was just kind of an awkward sequence. Wasn't really in the right spot. So a couple mistakes there. Then the second one was obvious. I mean, McDavid was there for the middle breakout, but you got to be sure. Like, he put it into his feet and just ends up coughing up a pizza right into the middle of the ice. So back-to-back goals against, where Bouchard, of all people, is the primary culprit for me on both of them.
And this is where he needs to shine with his breakouts, right? He is the most sure-handed passer the Oilers have. So the first goal, he's going back to get it. Looks over his shoulder. I guess he thought that there was an opening, but there's a King player right on the Oilers. He throws a backhander, kind of half rim around the wall, and it just puts his partner in a bad position. He should have got it and just skated around the net. He had control. He could just skate around the net, come out the other side. Now you're coming around on your forehand, which is always a stronger position than just throwing it back on your backhand. So a really tough one. And then the sequence ends up in their net, and it starts with him not managing the puck, which is what he does well. He is really good at that. Second goal, Kulak goes D to D. Bouchard, again on his backhand, tries to one-touch it to the middle to McDavid. When it works, it looks great. When it doesn't, you get two guys in front of the net that are fighting over the puck to shoot in the back of the net. So, both of those, again, that's what he does. Like, when I think of Bouchard, he shoots the puck, and you want him to manage the puck really well and be sure-handed on those breakouts. And those two goals, he wasn't.
Okay, so Oilers are in a big-time hole. Not much going right. Frustration is boiling over. And all of a sudden, we see a shot of Leon Draisaitl on the bench. Actually, you know what, Struds? Before we get to that, here's what I want to do, because there's going to be a lot of discussion about Evan Bouchard. I want to hear from the head coach on Bouchard. Let's get to the Weiss Johnson Soundbox, brought to you by Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning, the team over at Weiss. They're already seeing an increase in requests for air conditioner units, so beat the rush. Give them a call. Specializing in servicing your existing mechanical systems or installing new ones, Weiss Johnson here for all your home comfort needs. Visit weiss-johnson.com today. Jingle. First playoff jingle. Let it breathe just a little. You got to calm down the stream, Zoop. There's some angry people on the stream. Just let it breathe. Here is the head coach post-game, asked if he needs more defensively from Evan Bouchard moving forward.
I can't comment on that. I don't know the breakdowns. I saw Evan give us an excellent opportunity to win tonight. He made a lot of nice plays. Was his game perfect? I'm not sure anybody's game was perfect tonight. So, I think Evan's a very important part of our team. Obviously, if we're going to have success, especially when we're missing one of our key defensemen, all those, especially our top four, really have to step up.
Giveaways is one of the worst kept stats. One of the least accurate. He's on the board for 4. So when you're on the board for 4, that probably means you had 7, because it's just not a stat that's that well kept. So Struds, Knobloch wasn't willing to be too critical there. I saw online in my feed some people wanting to see Bouchard benched. But if you bench him, that comeback doesn't happen the way that it ended up happening. So I don't believe this was necessarily the time to sit him down after those goals against. What do you think about what the coach said and the way he handled Bouchard after that?
In general, I thought Knobloch was quite guarded today. He seemed to me a little short. He seemed mad. Now, I'm not saying he's mad at Bouchard or anyone specific. He just seemed like, I'm just guessing. If I was a coach, I would felt like we could let one get away that we probably shouldn't have even been in, right? So I think he seemed very guarded with his quotes or his comments. But you're right, you can't sit Bouchard because, those are 2 tough plays from a guy who should be and who is sure-handed for the Oilers, and that's what he does. That's what he's here for. But he also gets you back in it. He ends up plus on the night. Yeah, that's just crazy. So you can't sit him. You can't sit him, especially with no Ekholm. So I really think that is a situation where the coach, you just keep putting him out there because he's brought you down a little bit, but he can get you right back in there easily.
Good old Jinsey Ruse, who we've come to love here on the live stream. Keep positive, folks. We've got a great team, and we've also got a great post-game show here with Zuby, Ryan, and Jason. Thanks, Jinsey. Just a breath of fresh air on a night where Oiler fans are just losing it on this stream, and then Jinsey just comes over the top with a bunch of calm words and peace and love. Okay, Struds, so nothing's going right Offense is stymied. It's been a disaster. And then we see a frustrated Leon Draisaitl on the bench. I rewound that and watched it like 3 times because I swear I thought at one point he went knobber. I thought I saw him say knobber right at the beginning. I do not know this for a fact. I firmly believe a lot of that was to the staff and a bunch of it was to his teammates. I think he was talking to both of them there, Struds. I'm not going to pretend I know what the message was, but he wasn't just talking to his teammates there.
Yeah, I thought he said at one point, he goes, "It's 4-0. It's 4-0."
He did.
He said it.
I saw that.
He was, yeah, so I watched it a few times too. I like when Leon gets upset. I have to admit, I think it's good. It just kind of, everyone, everyone knows he's mad. Just say it. Just get upset and just yell around and get people fired up. And then they come out and, they get an important goal for this team. So, this is what I felt. I felt up till that moment of Leon, the Oilers were still in regular season mode. From that point on, I saw a playoff mode Oiler team. So that took, I don't know, what was left when they scored? Was it 20 seconds? So 39 minutes and 40 seconds, whatever that is, that was regular season mode. And all of a sudden, bang, here we go. Now we're pissed. Now we're playing. And they started digging in and they really got going that final, 20 minutes and 20 seconds.
So let's just speculate a little bit here. To that point, we had not seen McDavid, Draisaitl, and Perry together. Hadn't seen it yet. Do you think there's a chance, Struds, that Draisaitl was like, what are you waiting for? Let's go with this line. Because Knobloch had been nibbling around the edges of going nuclear. Like he did it out of a penalty kill. Then he did it for a few shifts. He was but he was kind of, he was on the fence to me. He was on the fence whether or not he was completely willing to commit to it or not. I don't know. I'm totally putting thoughts or words into his mouth here. And I don't want to do that, but my gut tells me he was like, let's do this. Let's go. It's 4-0. What are we waiting for? Because immediately after that, coming back, we saw Draisaitl, McDavid, and Perry together.
It could be. And I have no idea what he was feeling or thinking in that moment. Because he could have been mad at Bouchard in that moment, right? He could have been mad at the situation. They're losing 4-0 to a team that they've beat 3 years in a row. So there's lots of things that we could, guess or speculate, but it was the right course because he puts them together and then they come back in the third. They were going together and playing hard and playing fast. And I thought the whole team picked up their intensity. So I'm going to attribute Leon yelling at the team or yelling. I don't know who he's yelling at. Could have been yelling at his friend or his mom, who knows? But whatever it was, it clicked the team into it because they all started skating. It wasn't just them when they came back in the third period. Everyone started playing better with some intensity.
I agree. And so ends up keeping them together. Now there's a whole other half of this game that we got to get into, and that's the comeback. But I want to push that into our next segment because I want to involve Rob Brown in a bunch of this too. So hopefully Brownie will be available fairly soon here. So the comeback is coming up in takeaways. Struddy, let's get to our Relentless Player of the Night, though, brought to you by UCAN Youth Services, an Edmonton charity relentless in helping youth age 16 to 24 getting out of harm's way and finding employment. Visit ucan.ca to see how your donation can change lives right here in our community. What do you got tonight, buddy?
Connor McDavid. I mean, what do you got to do? I mean, the guy just kind of wasn't there for up till that goal at the end of the second, and then he just kept coming and kept coming. You just feel it. He was just, I'm coming. This is going to happen, everybody. Connor or Leon yelled at the group. Connor was like the driver as we get into the third period.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. And got it to the middle of the ice, like a couple of assists where the puck. I mean, how many of the goals? Was it 3 of the goals ended up being where they basically drove the puck right to the side of the net and then made passes across or shots across? Like that's where a lot of it happened, and McDavid played a big role in helping it get there.
Yeah, they did. And I think they were either unable or weren't ready to drive the puck to the middle of the ice, right? And it's a really interesting thing. It seems so easy and you want to take the puck there, but it's hard to get there. And there's the risk of being hit, and you can see that LA kind of backed off from the Oilers started just driving the net. They're taking the puck to the net. Even, I think it was Frederick who drove that one to the side net, chopping away at it like a sushi chef. And then all of a sudden it pops over to Janmark and he taps it in. Like that's a goal. That's not beautiful, but that's playoff goal style.
Yeah. Okay, lots to debate in the next segment. Actually, Zuby, do you want to get the poll out there real quick before we go to break?
Yeah,
why don't we do that? Our poll brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. Golf season is here, so you know where to go if you want to grab that new driver or that whole new set. DeBoer's Golf has you covered. Locally owned and operated, in business over 25 years. 53rd Avenue, 99th Street. Helping you play better golf. I just finished taping a hit with Jay Onright. I said, I believe they need to keep McDavid and Draisaitl together to start next game. Zuby, and that's the direction we're going to take this thing.
It is, since we were just talking about it, so let's get right to it. A very polite poll I've done here tonight. The question is, Connor and Leon on the same line for game 2. Your choices are yes, please, or no, thank you.
Oh, very polite.
So,
is that because everyone was being so nice and polite on the chat?
I guess so. Mostly these are fans on the stream, and everyone's fired up. They care about their team, and it was an emotional roller coaster tonight. So I think it's all just those emotions coming out. So I'm trying to be understanding. I haven't had to time out anybody yet, but we'll see.
Question: who do you play with them? I agree. I think you play them together. Who's the third member of that?
Just go back to Corey Perry.
Yeah, I'm with you. Corey Perry, he was my other Relentless player. I thought he was fantastic tonight. Absolutely fantastic. So I think he goes back. And I can't believe we're talking about a 40-year-old guy that most people thought would be in the lineup all year, playing on the top line with those two monsters in the game too. They probably need to win.
Yeah.
And if they're going to log a ton of minutes, you could go Perry, you can go Hyman. Like you could move that spot around too a little bit.
Yeah, you could, and just see how it goes, right? Because you don't necessarily want to play Perry the same minutes you're going to play those guys. Depends on how many penalties there are and such. Okay, well, get your answers in, and we'll go over the results of that poll during Ask Us Anything. A few more critical questions here. Did Chris Knobloch make a mistake in the last minute? Should he have left those guys out there as tired as they were? What was the deal with this comeback? How close they were? We got a few other things we got to dig into here, so stay with us. We got so much more, including Rob Brown, coming up here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta. We'll be right back. For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
All right, time now for our takeaways, brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. Deer season is now on at Horizon Ag and Turf. Get 0% financing for 84 months, plus save up to $4,000 on select John Deere compact utility tractors and Gator side-by-sides. Start saving bucks today at your local John Deere dealer. Visit Horizon Ag and Turf online or at one of their 13 Alberta dealership locations. The classic green and yellow of the deer. Okay, Struds. So they put the big line together and they will their way back into it. Frederick ends up producing a little bit there. That ended up paying off. They end up tying the game amazingly. Another miracle on Manchester. Holy snap. It was really going to be something. And then Knobloch decided to leave the big guys out there. They had been out there a ton, Struds. There's no question they were wiped. And I would suggest to you that there may have been a lack of back checking on that goal. Like if you look at the way that puck transitioned up ice, it was the late guy that got it. And if you had fresh legs, you'd have had a much better back check. I know I'm cherry picking a little bit here. Of course you want McDavid and Draisaitl on the last minute of a game that's tied under most circumstances. But did Knobloch get a little bit greedy there?
LA's on tilt. Absolutely on tilt. And I think he thought they could win it. And I believe he was probably right. Until that moment. And so if you go and watch the last goal, Connor has it, mishandles it, gets it back, mishandles it again. Is that fatigue? Is it the pressure that LA been putting on him all night? And then that's what leads to the rush, which is really quite innocent actually. When you start it out, it's a 2-on-2, right? You got enough guys back, everything's fine. But then Deneau comes back late, and none of the big those three big guys are able to get back in time to just you don't have to block the shot, just stop, like put a stick there, whatever, like lift a stick, whatever it is. So I would have done the same thing. I felt you're rolling. The Kings, the place was dead. You could hear Will Ferrell breathing in the corner. It was so quiet in there, right? So I would have put him out there to try to get that goal, but it didn't work out this time.
Noel Rinsky disagrees. He says, awful take, Ryan. That's a little rude, to be honest with you, Noel. So piss off with that. But he makes a good point. Watch where they were when Bouchard pinched. So if they think it's coming back at the net, maybe they hesitate a little bit towards the net and they end up without quite enough juice to get back. Tired legs at the end of the game there, Struds. I mean, you're going for the win. You're being aggressive and you're going for the win. Understanding that you do have tired, your most offensive guys, but tired guys out there as well.
You are. And yeah, I mean, it's those two guys, right? So they've willed this game. They've got you back into this game. So how do you not keep them putting out there? Can you imagine trying to pull them off? I'm sorry. What'd you say? Are you going to pull us off here? So it's one of those moments that, looking back, I would have put out, a line that's going to just keep it down their zone and grind out. We made it through. Somehow we got it tied. Let's get into overtime and take our chances there. But
so you're saying you would have put a more safer line out there.
In that moment, I'm playing them. Looking back on it now, I would have put another group out there.
Right.
But in that moment, they're you know that the Kings are a tilt. They're tilted, completely on tilt.
Yeah. For sure. And I think everybody's thinking the same thing. Like, they might be able to win this thing. I mean, the play-by-play guy said it. I was thinking it, and then you watch that goal back and you're like, okay. And they didn't have a timeout. Like, it's not like you have the opportunity to rest anybody. But if you look at the ice time, I mean, their time on ice, like Draisaitl's shifts were, so there was a minute 21, there was 2:17, a minute 34, and then a goal, 18 seconds, a goal. And then a minute 12 was the shift at the end of the game there. So yeah, they played an absolute ton of the last 5 minutes there. Okay. Where else we want to take this, Struds? We talked about potential changes moving forward. What did you think of Frederick and what did you think of Wallman, who both I think were, somewhat questionable to be in the lineup tonight. Yeah. But what do you think of those two guys?
Well, let's start with Wallman. I didn't realize he'd only played one game in the playoffs. And I think it showed a little bit today in two plays. The cross check to the chin. Now, we can talk about whether other cross checks in other games are worse. Yeah, but for sure. But there's no doubt that his stick made contact with the player's chin. I believe it was Deneau's. So you always risk the ref calling that moment, calling a penalty in there. The other one was the puck off the glass. Now, we can sit and debate whether or not that puck was off the glass or not. I have no idea. I can't tell. But what I can tell is that he had space to carry that puck. Just start skating. Skate till someone comes to you, then dish it off. And that's what he's here for. That's his play. Josh Brown goes off the glass. Wallman's got to skate that puck. You have the poise in that moment to skate. That's what he does. That's what he's really good at: skating, transferring the puck, and shooting. That's what he does really well. So I thought that in today we saw a guy who is not as well versed in playoff hockey as others, that have more experience in these moments, because that was only.
I thought that Wallman, I thought the skating wasn't great early on, and then I actually thought he got a little bit better as the game went on. And I don't, if it's a groin injury or whatever it is, maybe it's the type of thing that when it warms up, it gets better and better. Brownie, how was the post-game show, buddy? How were the callers?
Oh,
Yep, microphone.
this will be
There you
better
go.
if I have this.
It's okay, you're new.
I'm like Wallman. It's my first time playing, so I'm just trying to get used to playoff hockey. The callers were pretty good. There's some people not happy with the referees. Someone actually called in and vectors and stuff like that. He had pieces of string that he was putting up on his television showing that the puck had moved into a different area, so he felt that he could help the NHL war room, so we had that guy. But I don't know if anyone called and enjoyed the entertainment value of that hockey game. I think more were focused on the disappointment of the way it finished.
So two main issues that we've discussed, Brownie, that I would like your take on. One, who are you starting in net next game? And two, are you leaving the big guys together to start next game? Go ahead on both.
I'm starting Skinner in game 2. This will be his short leash. And yes, I'm starting the game with Connor and Leon together. I don't think the LA Kings had any answer for it in the last 25 minutes of this hockey game. So you don't want to chase a game. Maybe you can get a lead in the game by starting Connor and Leon together.
Who's he playing with? Who's the other guy?
I go with Perry.
Yeah.
I think Perry fits in nicely there, and I think that allows you to move, a Hyman and a Nugent Hopkins and a Henry. I think you can have stronger other lines. And seriously, Perry was very good in this hockey game tonight. So to me, Perry understands playing with great players. You don't have to be as good as them, but you have to think the game like they do. Corey Perry, in his younger day, he was them. He was the great player in the National Hockey League. So he sees the game and understands the game. He knows where to be. He knows when they want the puck, where he's supposed to be standing. Corey Perry fits that line, which is funny because he skates about half as fast as both of them, but he never seems to be out of position. So Corey Perry would play with Connor and Leon in my team.
What are your observations, Brownie, about the way that it ended? Like, the Oilers come back and then the last goal that LA ended up scoring. Like we were just discussing whether or not you should have left the big guys out there, maybe a little bit tired, and whether or not that's a goal that Skinner needs to have. What are sort of observations about the big finish and all pieces of it?
Well, it's funny. The Oilers had the Kings reeling, and I think Knobloch is feeling that before the Kings could regroup between the intermission, let's see if we can end it right away. But in this game where the Oilers played well enough to win, you score 5 goals, the Oilers made big mistakes. And the game-winning goal, people are going to focus on the fact that it was a knuckleball that beat Skinner. It was a 3-on-2. A 3-on-2 in the last minute of a tied hockey game. And a clear 3-on-2. So that can't happen. So to me, I don't know if it was... you don't get a good enough view of it when you're sitting on home watching the game on TV as you do from the press box, where you can see, should someone have been in that position? How did Deneau beat everyone up the ice? So I can't really go to say who should have had that. But bottom line, you can't give up a 3-on-2. As for the goal, I'm not a goalie expert. But that was, Deneau got 1/8 of the puck. He literally hit 1/8 of the puck. And I'm going to look at the positives. If I'm an LA guy, Fogel drove Bouchard back. He went to the net. He's in the eyes of Skinner. He snowed Skinner. I don't know if the snow had any bearing on if Skinner saw it or not, but if you look at Skinner's shirt, it was snowed. So there was a positive that Fogel did. But in a game where you just had this incredible comeback, and to me, the Oilers win this game, the series is over. I think it just absolutely in the back of the mind of the LA Kings. I said at the end of the second period on Ched, if the Oilers come back and win this game, this series is done. you need a save, and they didn't get it.
That's a great observation on the snowing. I didn't really pick up on that. I just watched it again. He blew a ton of snow, and it was high snow. I don't know if it had anything to do with it or not.
Me neither. But you could see it all over the shirt.
Yeah, it was there. Struds, what does the comeback mean? What does it mean moving forward? How big, oh boy, does that become for the LA Kings? Or are they just, hey, they know what the formula is. They just need to do a better job sticking to it, and on you roll to game number 2? Or was that a big crack in the armor, that comeback?
I think it's really important for the Oilers because now they know they can beat Darcy Kemper. And not that they didn't think they could, but they put 5 past that guy, right? Everyone's talking about they've got a new goalie, they got the system, they've got all this stuff. You rolled 5 past them, and your power play was not good at all, very disjointed, and it was not what it's usually all about. So I think that the first 40 minutes went about as bad as it could for the Oilers as far as how they played and how things played out. The last 20 was more how they went. They still lost the game. There's no doubt about it. But I think the Oilers should be feeling good about themselves. Frederick seems to have made it through the game. Maybe Kane comes back for game 2. So I think that they should be feeling good about themselves heading into game 2, Brownie.
Then if you want to go look on the other side of it, you're the LA Kings, you're going to say, you know what, we are a very, very good defensive team. But if you want to get into a track meet, we're capable of scoring too. And they did. Right. They scored 6 goals. So the next game might be a 2-1 hockey game. I think the LA Kings will go back and say, you know what? It was one player. It wasn't even 2 players tonight. It was Connor McDavid in the third period. We have to do a better job against Connor McDavid. Really, I mean, I know that Janmark scored a goal, and that was a huge goal, but they didn't get a whole lot of other chances. It was all on the back of Connor McDavid. So they'll have to do a better job. Darcy Kemper was excellent until he wasn't. I think both teams will find positives in this hockey game. Both teams will find mistakes that they have to clean up. I hope it's a long series the way that game went. That was as entertaining a hockey game as you're going to find. But usually games with big mistakes usually entertain us. And tonight, both teams made a lot of big mistakes.
How do we feel about what the Oilers brought tonight, Brownie, just in terms of playoffs are rolling? You know, there should naturally be some energy, some enthusiasm, some electricity. I mean, my goodness, we watched that Winnipeg-St. Louis game, and it's just on another level. After watching that Winnipeg-St. Louis game, you watch this game, and you're like, oh, they're not even in the same league. Just from an intensity standpoint. So what did you think about how the Oilers showed up to this year's edition of the playoffs?
Well, I think that they listened to your podcast and went out and hit everybody, as they badly out-hit the LA Kings. Unfortunately, again, when they out-hit teams, they lose. But there was a physicality brought by the Oilers. It was led by I think Connor had 5 hits in the game tonight, which was second on the team. And he had some big ones. But I think what we saw, and I know I heard you just as I was coming in talk about Wallman. I think Wallman was like the Ottawa Senators, where jacked up playoff hockey. I've watched it on TV. You can do just about anything, get away with it. And I think Wallman was a little overamped. I know that Deneau threw his head back on that one that got the 5-on-3 penalty, but the referee had just watched Wallman go after Kuzmenko seconds before. You're not going to get 2 freebies. So I think he was a little overjacked. So I think that the Oilers, those players will be a little more in control. I think that the desperation offensively wasn't there, but was it not there because the Oilers didn't bring urgency and desperation to their game? Or was it the LA Kings were just that good defensively until Connor and Leon got put together? I guess we'll find out in game 2 if Connor and Leon start, whether the Oilers can create anything with lines 2, 3, and 4.
Thought on that, Struds?
Yeah, Brownie, I made the point that I think when Leon snapped on the bench and was yelling at everybody, that's when they got into playoff mode. It's like, okay, here we go. Okay, now we got to go. Like that's because prior to that, yeah, they were hitting people, but I didn't think they were really, it seemed a very casual, relaxed game as I watched it. You know, there wasn't that go. Then all of a sudden they all seem to find another gear. So it's a bit of a wake-up call. And you're right, if it continues in the first period of game 2, great. If it doesn't, well, then obviously my theory is incorrect.
Yeah. Well, Quentin Byfield slugging Connor McDavid in the back of the head sort of I feel like it sort of opened things up a little bit. It was a little bit something for them to be upset about. And that goal, right at the end of the period was massive. And then the Oilers were off and running from there. Struds, you pulled some of the extra sound tonight. Is there anything else you wanted to make sure we get to? Because I don't know all the clips that you selected. Zuby, you recall what else we got? Anything really good?
Well, we have Knobloch on talking about sort of the chemistry coming late of the new fellas coming in, and a couple good clips from Hyman on just sort of on how they can be better and how the ending came about.
Okay, roll all three of them, and then we'll get to break.
Here's the coach.
Yeah, we maneuvered the lines quite a bit tonight. A lot in the second period. We went a long stretch, spending a lot of time in the offensive zone, but not generating many shots. So we did some line juggling there, and obviously in the third period we had a little more momentum, but we're just trying to figure out which guys were going and who could help us.
Oh, and here's a couple from Zach Hyman.
We could be a lot better. Obviously, they're a really good team. They play well in this building. Having said that, we gave ourselves a chance to win the game. So I like that we stayed with it, even though there was a lot of opportunities to quit. 5-on-3 guys were blocking shots, down 2 there. Didn't get the call we wanted. Had to battle through that and face that adversity, and then to come out and to tie the game there. We still lost. But I think you could take some positive out of that.
Have you been able to kind of wrap your head around what happened there in the third period with coming back and giving up?
This is the playoffs. This group has been through games like this numerous times. I think the game 1 against Calgary a couple years ago, Colorado. Sometimes games aren't scripted like you think they're going to go, and you have to find a way to win. And obviously, we fell short today, which sucks. Nobody's happy about it. So. We have a history of bouncing back, and I'm sure we'll play a lot better in game 2.
All right, and that sound courtesy the Weiss Johnson sound box. When we come back, Zuby, I'm going to do 3 segments when we come back. So one of them you might have to prep, but our HSE core adjustments segment was our core blue liner segment before, but we're now dubbing it core adjustments for the playoffs, and we'll talk about adjustments that the team needs to make moving forward. Want to hang on to Brownie for that one. So when we come back, we'll have Brownie Points, we'll have Struddy's World, and our core adjustments segment. Still tons ahead on the show. Stay with us here on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
All right, time to get to our core adjustments, brought to you by HSE Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSE Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance, from creating and managing a tailored health and safety program meeting all legislation and core requirements. HSE course supporting client operations every step of the way. Check them out at www.hsecor.com. All right, potential adjustments for next game. We all agree Skinner stays in the net. We all agree that the top line remains Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Corey Perry. Let's work our way through the rest of the lineup and other decisions that need to be made. Maybe first and foremost, is Josh Brown in your lineup next game, Brownie?
Probably, yeah. And it's
Really?
funny. It is because I just listened to Chris Knobloch after the game. And one of the questions, can you go with a 6 defenseman and only plays 5 minutes a night? And he said, yeah, he's got no problem with that. The only time they used their 6 defensemen tonight, really, Josh Brown, was to kill penalties. If Stetcher's healthy, he plays. But if to move in a Dineen's not going to kill penalties. So you're giving your top 4 guys a break on the penalty kill. One of those guys, Josh Brown's, playing 4 or 5 minutes. And then the rest of the time you're rolling 4 guys and you're spotting Emberson in. So they don't trust. I don't think they trust Dineen as well. So I think they're saying, all right, if I'm going to go with one of those 2, I'll use Brown, use him a penalty killer. He'll get 4 or 5 minutes, whatever we take. And we're just going to run 4 guys and Emerson will be our 5th. So yeah, I think they will keep Josh Brown in.
Yeah, I'd dress him, but I wouldn't even play him. If you're not after the first period, like it's really hard. Like I can tell you from experience, sitting on the bench and going out to kill a penalty and being sharp, your legs are just locked. And you're not chasing around, Snuffleupagus out there. You're chasing around the other team's best players for that 2 minutes. So my suggestion is you're going to, if a forward or if a D-man gets a penalty, you have to probably put Bouchard in as a penalty killer.
I think I know what you're saying, Struds, and I know what it's like. And I have been a guy that you sit for 12 minutes, then go out there and your legs, they feel like cement. Like the lactic acid is horrible. But I just think the way he was used tonight, that they want to give those top 4 guys some minutes off. And the only way they feel they can do it is if they're killing a penalty. And that's when he'll go out there. Unless, of course, the score gets out of hand either way. Then maybe you'd put him out there. But I think they'll keep Brown in just a penalty kill, no matter when that penalty kill is.
I'm just going to throw an idea out there. Do you guys not think that Cam Dineen might be able to we're not sure, but we know he skates well. We know he can skate at a playoff level. What if he can give you some okay 5-on-5 shifts? Because that's another way to get your big guys some rest. Cam Dineen has a way better chance of going out there and being able to take some minutes 5-on-5, even if it's just a few, than Josh Brown does. So I would be as interested in seeing what Dineen might give you 5-on-5, because I now know what Brown's giving you on the penalty kill. Struds.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think it matters who it is. I don't think the guy's going to play. Now, he might be able to play a few more minutes 5-on-5, but he's not playing the penalty kill, so he's still going to end up at 4 minutes, right? Like I was wrong, and I apologize to everyone. I said Josh Brown's going to play 8 minutes, and I was twice more than what he actually played. So
you did. He did.
I was wrong, and so I'll admit it. But so Shugger, I understand what you're saying. I know where you're coming from, but I just don't think that's the 6th guy. They don't try, and I get it. They don't want to play either guy, so just accept it. Not you, but the Oilers, just accept it. Play him a couple shifts early, gets the games played, then just roll the 5, unless all hell breaks loose, and then play him.
Okay, enough about the 6 defensemen. Let's get to the other lines. I like the sounds of Podkolzin, Nugent Hopkins, and Arvidsson, and then Henrique, Hyman, and Frederick as your 2nd and 3rd lines. What do you guys think?
So you get rid of your guy Skinner, the guy you wanted on the top 6. You don't even have him in the top 9 now. Holy smokers, you are fickle. I'd go Nugent Hopkins with Skinner and Hyman. I would go Henrique with Frederick and Arvidsson. And I would go Janmark with Brown and Podkolzin. But having said that, they are going to be thrown all in a blender every second shift anyways. But that's the way I would go.
Yeah, I'd go more with yours, Shogger. I'm putting in Kane for this game. So I got Kane, Janmark, and Brown on the 4th line.
Oh, so you're bringing Kane is obviously.
I didn't know we were allowed to do that. I missed the memo.
No, Brownie's right. Like the lines are going to get tossed, but they, if they get out to a lead, I think he sticks with the lines. If they don't, then we're getting the old blender out.
Okay, I'm going to go with if we are putting Kane in, I'm pulling Jeff Skinner out of the lineup, and Kane will go in the lineup.
Yeah,
because that's what you think they should do, or that's what you think they will do.
I didn't notice. I think that's what. Well, to me, it's Jeff Skinner doesn't penalty kill, so you can't have him in the lineup. You're not pulling Connor Brown out. You're not pulling Janmark out. I guess you can put Coles and be the guy you would pull out if you want to keep Skinner in the lineup. But there's a physicality about LA. To me, Skinner's the guy that's coming out if Evander Kane comes in. It just he doesn't do enough outside of 5-on-5 hockey.
Yeah, and Brownie on that second goal. Sorry, Shog, on that second goal, I felt like that was a soft play by Skinner. He's got his hand knocked out, his stick knocked out of his hand, but he had a chance to make a hard, strong play right away, and he's kind of light there.
Yeah.
Stick knocked out of his hand, and bang, it's in the back of the net. And it's not all on him, but I think that's a heavier play there that can be made by the winger.
Well, the reason he doesn't play isn't what he does with the puck. The reason he doesn't play is the coaching staff has never trusted what he does without the puck. It's all about that. They feel they can score enough goals with Connor and Leon. They don't need some guy that might score if he can't play defense, and they don't trust his defense.
Jeff Skinner's night, 11 minutes and 12 seconds. Picked up an assist, was -2, and did throw 5 hits and 1 shot on net, 4 shot attempts. So, 2 shot attempts, one shot on net, and 1 attempt that was blocked. So 2 shot attempts, -2, an assist, and 5 hits for Jeff Skinner tonight. Okay, I think that covers most of the lineup. We don't see any other significant changes. Is there a reason for Kapanen to come in, some size and skating and such? Maybe if Kane's not available, do you look at Kapanen?
They out-hit the LA Kings. They were the more physical of the two teams, so I don't know why you'd have Kapanen in ahead of anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm leaving out the same thing.
All right, those are our core adjustments brought to you by HSE Core Services. Don't expect the team. Well, actually, I could see them being optional tomorrow and then going more of a full skate on the game day. So we might actually not have answers on lines as early as tomorrow. I could see them being optional, so we might have to wait a day or two for those answers. Okay. Roll the music, Zuby. Let's get to Brownie Points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you're looking for a delicious way to support your team, club, or cause, Hamel's Premium Jerky offers easy and profitable fundraising opportunity. Support your club and support Canada with this Canadian-owned business. Raise funds with a high-quality product everybody can love. Contact them today at albertajerky.com. Brownie, give out some points, buddy.
All right, I'm going to start with 7 points to start with to the Blues and the Jets. If anyone's watched this series, they want to see this series go to 7 games. It is fast, it is violent, it is skilled. The goaltenders have been fantastic. Not only do the fans want to see this game go 7, the winner of Dallas and Colorado want to see this series go 7, because if they do, half the team might be out of the lineup. There were some huge hits. I know Schauger sent that thing out, the video of Lowry getting hit. Lowry never gets hit. He never falls down. He was rolled over by Shen. That series has been violent. Oh, that is one of the 2 games that they've played so far. Incredible hockey at a speed that we, as you pointed out, that we did not see in this game tonight. I got 4 brownie points to the grizzled veteran who can absolutely not come out of this lineup. That's Corey Perry. It's as though his water bottle is filled with water from the fountain of youth. Tonight, Perry, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. He was +4 in the hockey game. Corey Perry, +4. He had an excellent hockey game. That's why Schauger, Brownie, and Strudwick have him playing on the number 1 line in game 2. I got 7 brownie points to the 7 ladies playing the harmonicas during the U.S. national anthem tonight. I didn't know if I should laugh or appreciate the effort. What I do know that in all my years of playing this sport and watching this sport, I have never seen a national anthem played by 7 women on harmonicas. So, yeah, I've got nothing else to say on that. I got more text about that than I did about the game tonight. I've got -96 points. For the first time in the history of brownie points, I am subtracting 96 points from myself. When LA added Kuzmenko at the deadline, I criticized the LA Kings for not doing near enough to add offense at the deadline. I was wrong. Kuzmenko has 16 points in his last 11 games. He had 3 points tonight. He was excellent in this hockey game. The last 2 times I've seen him play, I thought Kuzmenko very good. He has fit in very nicely, playing on the top line with Kempe and Kopitar. And the goal that he scored, that is not easy. That was an absolute bullet that came over to him, backdoor, wide open net. That is a good goal. Kuzmenko might become a wild card in this series, and I did not see that. So shame on me. In the final one, I have 97 Brownie points for 97. No game is ever out of reach when 97 is on your team. The last 21 minutes was vintage Connor McDavid. He almost willed and carried his team to victory. He turned an LA blowout into an absolutely classic game. That was Connor McDavid at his best in the last 21 minutes of this hockey game. And those are my first playoff Brownie points of the year.
Zuby, you or Struddy, care to chime in on the harmonicas?
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I could see maybe in Columbus, Nashville, somewhere
county
like
fair.
that.
Maybe at a county fair somewhere.
Oh, St. Albert, maybe St. Albert.
Yeah, well, seriously, at the St. Albert Center, if they have the little fair that goes around, like the rides, you could see maybe at 7 o'clock tonight, the 7 happy harmonicas will be playing. Like, I could not believe that was what they had in LA. In LA.
I was half expecting Will Ferrell to jump out from behind and like start doing something crazy. Like
it's a gag.
I honestly, I was speechless, and that's fairly rare, guys. So I don't know what to tell you about that.
And I also love the introduction by popular demand. They were back.
Back
So
by
it sounded like they were
demand.
back. And the crazy part about that is, like, I am on social media, so I think I would have seen them that they had done it. If they had actually done it before, I felt like I would have seen it somewhere, but I guess not.
Well, you do know that I played for years in Pittsburgh, and we would go to Philadelphia, and their secret weapon was Kate Smith doing the national anthem.
That was awesome.
They're right. Oh, that was the best ever. But
yeah,
they are 1-0 in the playoffs this year with the the happy harmonicas.
Are they bringing the harmonicas back for game 2?
Oh, man.
I hope so. I really do hope so.
That was crazy. Who books that?
My mom once told me, and we're a musical family, but if you don't have anything nice to say, then just maybe don't say anything at all.
Well, there's not much available there in LA, really, for them to get.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Scraping the bottom of the barrel. All right, those are Brownie points brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Zuby, roll the intro. Time for Struddy's World.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
Yes, it is time for Struddy's World, brought to you by Timberhouse Developments. Need a little extra space for the in-laws? How about a garden suite? Absolutely perfect for keeping them close, but not too close. The designs are unique. Anything but cookie cutter, and the experience of building with Timberhouse is second to none. Check them out. Timberhouse.ca is the website. Struds?
I'm keeping this one short and sweet, like Shogger going on a jog. The Oilers truly saw how much they miss Matthias Ekholm on the final goal. Matthias would have been out there beside Evan Bouchard, and he would have just somehow found a way to stall that rush, slow things down, maybe talk to the guys before, hey guys, let's just keep a head up for this or whatever. Let's keep it in their zone, whatever that is. But in my mind, that is the moment where Matthias Ekholm was most missed in this game amongst many. But that was the one, guys, they really missed him.
Yep, that would have been a big moment. He definitely would have been out there and probably would have handled that whole rush situation a little bit better. Yeah, Brownie, the number of ways that they are going to be hurt and missing this guy, like they're just too many to list.
Well, he plays in all the important minutes at the end of periods, at the beginning of periods, when the other team puts their best players out there, and they 100%. You just had that incredible comeback. Matthias Ekholm is on the ice in the last minute of the game. I mean, if you look at the 3 on the goal that was scored, Wallman, I believe he was the other defenseman, way too far to the one side.
Yeah.
So he's chasing. Bouchard was not lazy, but didn't have the urgency coming back.
Casual.
And until he saw, oh, okay, I'm going to lose this race. So then he picked up a little bit, and then the third guy comes up and he's by himself. So like there was 3 mistakes right there in a game that, I mean, again, I'm adamant about this. If the Oilers win that game, this series is over. This series is over. You lose a 4-goal lead on home ice. I mean, all the demons are coming back. But that goal allowed the LA Kings to believe. And it goes back to what you said, Struds. Yes, Matthias Ekholm, there's so many reasons that they need him in the lineup. And that last goal was it would have been a different outcome, I believe, as well.
Yeah. And another thing, with Ekholm being out, like I know Bouchard ended up with 3 assists. He played a role in the comeback, no question about it. But again, another indication, we've seen this multiple times this year with Matthias Ekholm not in the lineup. Evan Bouchard should be one of the players that can elevate his game and step up and find a way to recognize the moment and be at his best. And defensively tonight, he just was not. And we've seen this a few times from him this year where knowing the moment is big, he just can't elevate in his own end. And that's concerning. There's no question his ability to move the puck and create offense and all of those things. But man, we know he has it in him, Brownie, to be able to lock it down. And you would have needed and loved to have seen that from him tonight.
Well, the 2 ones that he gave away in the middle period, he wins the race back. And that one's simple. You win the race. He's a right-handed shot. All he had to do was fire it as hard as he can around the boards and out. He saw where everyone was. And he put Darnell Nurse in an absolutely horrible position with a little backhand pass. That is a simple play. And that is, as Todd McCullough used to say, at some point, punt. And then the pass that he tried giving to McDavid in front of the net, that had 0 chance of working. If Connor McDavid can't get your pass, there's not a player in the National Hockey League that is going to be able to get that pass. And they had 2 Kings fighting over it in the slot to see which guy was going to score that goal. Those are 2 big mistakes. The Oilers played well enough in this game to win, but the big mistakes they made were catastrophic.
All right, that was Struddy's World, brought to you by Timber Haas Developments. All right, Brownie, we can cut you loose, pal. We will chat in a couple of days for game number 2, buddy. Looking forward to it. You came in tonight and you were bang on. You dropped some bombs. You were bang on. You got a lot of love on the stream. You had a lot of compliments coming your way. I didn't want to interrupt you and read them, but people really felt like you came in and sorted this pot out, that it was messy until he arrived.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. I do. I was getting text people saying that Shogger and Struddy are struggling a little bit, so bring your A game. So I'm glad I was able to help you guys out.
All right, buddy. We'll see you in a couple of days. Thanks, Brownie. Good night. All right, quick break. When we come back and take a couple of laps, we'll check in on the scoreboard and ask us anything. Struddy, we got a dynamite number on the stream tonight. Great audience here on the live stream, so we really appreciate it. Get your questions into Zuby, and we'll do a bit of an extended Ask Us Anything. So we'll whip through the next couple of segments, and lots more to come here on Got Your Back.
Choosing the right health and dental coverage can feel overwhelming, but Alberta Blue Cross is here to make it simple. Their user-friendly website features a free quote tool to guide you through choosing your plan, or you can chat directly with one of their specialists for personalized help. Every plan includes access to personal, nutritional, and financial counseling at no extra cost. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/personal to learn more.
If you're considering a vinyl fence, don't be fooled by cheap marketplace imitations. Get top quality vinyl fence from a trusted company with 20 years in the industry. With locations in Calgary and Edmonton, check out dlrvinylproducts.ca.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
I'm going to use that. You can read it.
Sounds good. All right, welcome back to the program. Time to take a couple of laps, brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction professional and you're looking for work, send your resume right now. Well, maybe not right now. Wait till the show's done. Trades@acon.com. They're looking for quality people because they are a quality company. One of Canada's original industrial contractors, looking for skilled tradespeople and construction professionals. Trades@acon.com is where you send your resume. We'll get to all the other results from the National Hockey League coming up in our scoreboard. We can discuss those games a little bit. But Strud, some other action around the league today.
Well, Seattle Kraken seemed flat to me all year. Right now, some injuries there. Obviously, they made some trades. And unfortunately for Disco Dan Bilesma, he was fired today. So after 1 year leading the NHL team, after the AHL team leading them for a number of years, he was fired today. So follows out the door the Ducks coach in Anaheim and obviously Laviolette in New York. So third coach gone already. I'm not sure if we'll see any more, but the Kraken one, I wondered about that one, Schauger. But I thought, it's only 1 year. He'll get another chance. Well, I was wrong.
Yeah, Bilesma out there. And you wonder what'll happen with his staff too. There'll probably be a full turnover, you'd think, or a reasonably full turnover. I guess we'll wait and see. And I think we expect Botterill to go in as the GM there. Francis to get bumped upstairs, I think, was supposed to be the plan there too. So some other stuff happening there with the Seattle Kraken. Were any of those surprising to you, Struds?
Firings. The Kraken one, just because it's 1 year, like the Rangers, they've tried everything. Right? That was obvious that Peter Laviolette was going to be out. In Anaheim, I'm guessing that unfortunately, often when you're the guy who drags the team through the mud or leads, that's unfair, who leads them through the muddy times, when they feel they're turning the corner, they bring in a fresh voice. And so Greg Cronin's out. And I'll be interested to see who all three teams hire, right? The Kraken, I think they have to do, it's more personnel right now. I think they got to kind of get their team organized. But the Ducks and the Rangers, I'll be interested to see who they hire in both those spots.
Wonder if Jay Woodcroft gets a look anywhere along the way here.
Yeah. Would he
did an interesting interview with Frank Saravalli on his podcast, Frankly Speaking, the other day. Might be an interesting listen. For Oiler fans. There were some interesting comments. He spent a lot of time traveling around, trying to pick up some tidbits and trying to improve and all those things. It was an interesting interview, so worth a listen. I wonder if he'll get a nibble.
I love listening to the post-year interviews with GMs and coaches. I don't do them all, but Kyle Dubas and the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm fascinated. I can't stop. I can't stop watching what's going on there. So today, Kyle Dubas, GM and president of that group, had his post-game or post-year wrap up, and he talked about the future. And a lot of things he said made sense. I thought he did a really good job. Then he was asked about Erik Karlsson, and he said this, and I quote, "Erik is and will forever be a polarizing figure. My view would be we expect him to be one of the people who pulls us from where we are into contention. I had a long meeting with him. My push would be for his actions to match his ambitions. He showed throughout the year he has another level to him. At times, we saw it at the Four Nations as well. He had moments of great play with too many inconsistencies. We have to push him to get there." So not what I'd call a ringing endorsement of your $10 million D-man. Now, he did go on to say that the defense is something they really have to work on, and their defense isn't good. And it's anchored by Karlsson. Tang is, aging. And then Ryan Graves. Why they ever signed this guy to that contract, I'll never understand. Yeah. He's fooled the league for a lot of money. And good for him. Good for him. But, man, that was a bad signing. So they got to reboot that back end before anything's going to happen in Pittsburgh.
So minus 24 for Karlsson this year. Pretty similar back-to-back years offensively. 11.45, 56 2 years ago. 11.42, 53 this most recent season. But remember, just a couple seasons removed from 100 points in San Jose. He was a 100-point defenseman in San Jose. And it sounds to me like Kyle Dubas is feeling like he needs to be closer to that than the 50-point defenseman that he traded for.
I think controlling the play more. When I watched them play, casual, right? Just a little casual. And that's always kind of been his thing. And you don't ask him to run people through the wall, but control the play by having the puck on your stick and moving it properly. And you know, you'd like to see him be a plus player, right? And I know people think that's antiquated way of thinking, but I don't think it's that antiquated when you're minus 24. I think it tells you kind of where you're at.
Yeah. All right. That was our Taking a Lap, brought to you by Acon. Okay. We referred to some of the other games tonight. There was some good hockey. Man, I love this first round. It's always so entertaining. So, Struds, let's dig a little deeper here on all of the results tonight in our Canadian Club scoreboard. The all-new Canadian Club Classic 18-year-old high proof comes in at 58%, their highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date. Full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel, toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. Where do you want to start among all the games that happened today?
Well, 4 games tonight, a lot of excitement. So let's start with one of the OT games. The Capitals get it done over the Canadians. Obi gets the first goal and the third goal to win it quickly in overtime. So that was a nice start.
That was a late comeback from Montreal, though, was it not? They got 2 goals in the third period, one with like 4.5 minutes left or something like that. Caulfield and Suzuki threw that thing into overtime. So a little comeback mojo for the Habs.
Yeah, and I think that's a confidence builder for them. I really do. I think that's important for them. They're in the game, they got back into the game. They got to overtime, and Obi scores. But I think that's important, one, for them to get their first taste of playoff hockey. The Jets beat the Blues, so they're up 2-0. I should have mentioned Washington's only 1-0. Jets are up 2-0 now on the Blues. A low-scoring 2-1 game. And then you got the Stars also winning in overtime 4-3. Seguin gets on the board. Jack Drury, not so much all the Stars. Got it. Then in overtime, Colin Blackwell, noted goal scorer, gets it done. So that series is tied 1-1.
I'm just taking a quick look. I basically didn't get to watch any of that game. I was paying a close attention to the other games that were going on at the time, then obviously switched over and focused on the Oiler game. Nothing from Mikko Rantanen tonight, eh? -1 in 26 minutes of ice time. 5 minutes and 22 seconds of power play time, but has yet to check in offensively for them. So if and when he does, that would be good for them.
That will be interesting to see. Like they're going back to Colorado, so people should know it's been in Dallas. And the Avs had plenty of chances to win both games. They didn't. But now they're going back to Colorado, and I think Colorado is going to beat them twice then. I really do. I think Colorado is the better team, and they've been playing better. Dallas has been it's been smoke and mirrors for the last while for that team, and I think they know it.
Landeskog took warm-up, ended up not playing. I wonder if maybe that has something to do with, not wanting to change a winning lineup and, just wanting to, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you see him in game 3. Maybe that's what they need now to make a change there.
There was so he could have gone in, but they put Miles Wood instead. I'm guessing, Shocker, why not put him in at home for game 3? The place will go nuts. Will go nuts when he touches the ice. A little boost.
Be a lot of energy there for sure. Yeah. No, great point by you. All right, that's our scoreboard brought to you by Canadian Club Whiskey. Zuby, hop on in, buddy. Let's wrap up our poll, my friend.
Yes, let's.
Did you run to the bathroom?
No,
Zuby?
no,
I
didn't.
A bathroom break
I'm laughing.
The show?
I'm laughing because I'm gonna have to scroll back and find it. I know the numbers. There it is, because I copied it, but I never pasted it, so it got run further up the chat here. Oh, I do have it. Okay, so this was the poll question tonight. Connor and Leon on the same line for game 2. Yes, please, 54%. No, thank you, 45%. So very close. And let me say also, this was one of the most consistent. That was like the percentage in the first 5 minutes. Seems like a really good polling of the electorate here tonight. A really good representation, because those percentages stayed nearly the same throughout. So whether that's something or not, I don't know. But it was interesting. That it seemed like, despite any of the chatter about it on the show, people were steadfast in their votes.
Right. All right, good stuff. And thanks for all of your participation. We appreciate that. Still rolling strong here. Rock solid number on the stream. Throw some thumbs up if you don't mind. We would appreciate that. As we get to our Ask Us Anything segment, Zuby has been keeping track of everything you guys have been sending in. We appreciate those comments. Ask Us Anything brought to you by Mortgages by Maria. Is your mortgage renewal date just around the corner or coming up in 2025? Don't sign early and just take the bank's first offer. Explore your options. Time your renewal with potential rate drops. It could save you thousands and put more money back in your pocket. Don't pay more interest to the banks than you have to. Contact Maria Gallus today at mortgagesbymaria.ca. All right, Zuby, welcome.
Hello. Okay, let's get into this. A bunch of people want to know about any thoughts on Elliot Friedman's comments about teams using LTIR. When do we see Kane and Landeskog in each team's next game? So there's some, I think he sort of floated it that maybe the reason we didn't see either of those players in their respective game ones is because there's this, that the league maybe is pushing back on wanting to see some proof that it was too coincidental for players coming off LTIR to play in the first game of the playoffs. So what is that anything? Does it mean that Kane, some people asking, a lock to start game 2? What do you make of all this there, Schauger?
Yeah, so the general idea is that I think, maybe they'll look at closing this loophole. We hear lots of rumblings that they will. Maybe the fact that the league is eyeballing this a little bit closer. But bottom line, I have heard behind the scenes that they're pretty involved in the process, that they have been for some time here as the finish line has drawn closer, that they've been quite involved. So the suggestion being that part of the thought process is, let's make it game 2 at least, or game 3, and not have that optic of him being dropped right back in for game 1. We're not going to be able to prove anything. Like Elliot even said, he doesn't know for sure. It's just, sort of some rumblings he's hearing in his gut, but some of that might make some sense. It did seem odd to me that after all this time, he wouldn't yet be cleared, Struds.
Yeah. And I said that the other day, is that what does 48 more hours do? It's been 10 months. Right. So, then he made reference to Seguin played the last game. Hamilton played the last game. So, I think either way, I want to see him back in that lineup in game 2. If he can play him in game 2. Let's see what we can do. He's another big body, hopefully drives in the middle of the net, can score and be physical. And I think bring that playoff attitude, because there's really no loud voices on this Oilers team right now. Other than Leon yelling at the whole bench.
Okay, because you said that, I'm actually going to go to a different question that's kind of on that topic. Noel Rinsky said, if you were a leader on the team, how would you handle Bouchard after a game like tonight? Is there anything to be said there, Struddy, or is it just known? Does he know what his deficiencies were tonight?
I think he knows. And again, he wasn't alone tonight, but that's what he's there for, right? Those are the moments he's there for, to make those sure-handed plays. So I think it's like, hey, man, we got you, but we need you. Like, we need you at your best next game. We'll see you in 48 hours. Bang. And move on. Like yelling at him, swearing at him. I'm not sure it really helps.
A lot of that really hinges on the personal relationships too, Struds, right? Like, does somebody have the relationship where they're tight enough with Bouchard to be like, hey, we need you in a bit of a different way, man. Like, well, no, you can, like, it's about personal relationships between these players. So there's no responsibility for anybody to go drop some hammer on him or something. You saw how the coach handled him after the game. Like, they need this player. He'll know. Like, there's no way you can't know with those 2 highlights, Struddy.
No, and this is 9 playoff rounds they've had, right, in 3 years. Yeah. So they're in the 10th playoff round in 4 years. He knows. But that's like, I'll just keep saying that's his job. Like, that's what he does. That's when he's at his best. You want the puck on his stick, right? So you don't want it on a lot of other guys, but you want it on his stick in that moment.
If anybody's saying anything, maybe it's Paul Coffey, Zuby.
Yeah, fair
enough. Sam W721 and a few other people made this observation. This game reminds me of game 1 against the Flames, the Battle of Alberta series a couple years back. And I think someone mentioned that in their post-game comments as well, even whether it was Knobloch, I don't remember. But is there anything positive to pull from that? I mean, that because that, of course, then the Oilers won 4 in a row, a game that kind of mirrored tonight, a wild, high-scoring game that the Oilers came close in but couldn't finish it. Is there anything to that, Shogger?
Yeah, I mean, sure. A bunch of these guys were part of that game as well. And I mean, I think the comeback will be meaningful. I think it's, I think as much as anything, Struds, it's just no matter what situation the Oilers find themselves in for the rest of this series, at least, when you get some of that comeback mojo early on in the playoffs, that's only good for you because you're not out of any games. You're not packing it in for any games, no matter what the score.
It reminded me as I was watching, I think that's a really good comparison, but I think was it game 3 where the Oilers against Florida, where they finally scored a few goals on Bob and they kind of got going. And then they started on the roll. They won the next 3 after that. Right. And I think they just, sometimes you just have to get going. And you make the other team realize that this is what we can do and this is how we do it. And so that's what I like the Calgary one, but that tonight reminded me of that one. The game, I think it was game 3 against Florida.
Right. That they still lost. Right. And then they
lost it. Correct.
Right. Yeah. Ro Nelson, she says, Podkolzin looked like he had zero confidence. Arvidsson looks replaceable too. Put Kane in for either of them to protect 97-29 because no one else is. Now, it seemed like it's kind of the consensus is that it would be Jeff Skinner coming out. What did you think of these guys' games, Arvidsson, Podkolzin tonight? What did you see from them? And is that a possibility at all? Struddy?
I thought that the whole team looked they weren't going in the first 2 periods. Then once the team got going, there was basically one line out there the whole time. So then it's kind of hard to get going. I did not feel that the Stars were getting abused. I didn't see it that way. Yes, Byfield punched Leon or McDavid,
Connor,
but I don't think they were getting abused. The Oilers were giving it out pretty good tonight. Like Wallman's hit on who was that on? Lafreniere, like that's from behind. If that's on an Oiler, people are losing their mind.
Yes.
That was behind. So I think we got to be careful talking about that. Not you guys, but just in general. So no, I would take Skinner out. I'd put Kane in and roll the dice. Shoggy.
Yeah, I'm with you on pretty much all that. It wasn't a situation where anybody was getting taken advantage of. Some tough, hard plays. They were going in both directions. Some bad calls in both directions. So yeah, I would agree with that. And I didn't love either of their game. They were both somewhat quiet. Would I pull them? I mean, I guess you need Connor Brown for the penalty kill, right? I guess you need Connor Brown for the penalty kill. No shots on net, 12:42. Never liked the idea that he was starting on the top line, and that was just a matter of time. So yeah, if it weren't for the penalty killing, I might be considering that, but probably ends up being Skinner instead.
Okay. MB asking, do the Oilers need to adjust their forecheck? Kings were going over and out easily after each dump in. What did you see there, Shogger, and what can be done?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a better job forechecking in the back half of the game. So I just think they were more intense on it. I think that they just did a better job, creating pressure and turning over some pucks. I mean, they carried it in a lot more, I think, in that point of the game as well. So I don't think there's some big systemic change that's required, Struds. I think it's just more of what they did in the back half.
Yeah, I would challenge them to where they place the puck. So when you're dumping it, putting it in a situation where you can maybe get it, or it's harder for them to get it. We saw a number of times where the puck would just go right to the netminder, and that he plays it pretty well. And so he played and or set it up for the D. Have it die in the corners. I hated the puck when it died in the corners and there's someone bearing down on me. So have it die in the corner if possible, or just chip it behind that strong side D and go get it behind him.
Great point.
Speaking of entries, did you guys notice on the first power play especially, I mean, they never kept it in, but they had about 5 entries and they were all different. Like it was never the drop pass, I think. And I just wondered, did you guys see something? Do you think they know later in the season they had the one goal against and a couple of almosts? Do you think teams were keying on that? Do you think they had some?
I think it was just more about being a little disjointed, Struds, for me than anything. They weren't organized on that power play, so they tried the slingshot once. Then the other time, it was like it wasn't quite timed, and Draisaitl just took it. Bouchard took it. Well, like I just thought they were disjointed.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if you noticed, but LA was kind of keeping a guy a little bit behind.
Yeah,
Bouchard was carrying. So just to be a little bit disruptive, because they'd rather have Bouchard, and that's something I've advocated for a long time. But I think they were very disjointed, and that's a great point, Shogger.
Maybe one more, Zuby.
Let's go two. Let's go. I got two here. The Blommer, he's back. He says, was Warren Fogle the lockdown defensive threat that I saw tonight? And if so, how do you neutralize him so McDavid gets some space? Did you see Fogle as being a big hindrance to McDavid tonight, Struddy?
Like he can skate and he's big, right? And I do think that they especially the first two period, Connor was having a tough time finding some sun, right? There was a lot of shade on that guy all over the place. Then he started finding a little bit of space and he could move. Even the game tying goal, he chipped around the D-man. I think it was Mike Anderson went around him. Fogle has watched him play for a long time, so he knows how to beat him. But keep in mind, Connor also played with Fogle. So he knows what his challenges are as a player as well. So I don't want to make it sound like Fogle's Kopitar out there. But I think as a group, I think the Kings did a good job in the first two periods slowing Connor and Leon down.
6 minutes and 52 seconds at 5-on-5. He was out there against McDavid. 46% of the shot share went to Warren Fogle. Shots 4-4-2. And goals 4-1, goals against 0. So that was sort of the head-to-head matchup, Fogle versus McDavid at evens.
Okay, before we get to this last question, I did have to include this. Davin said when there was the national anthem discussion, this just made me laugh. He said the Spoons band was already booked, so that's why they had the harmonica.
Thank you, Davin.
And
Thank you.
We appreciated them. Absolutely. Okay, where did this last one go? Okay, Jameson Dorr and the as it does on every night where where Stu Skinner lets in 3 or more goals, the debate rages. But Jameson Dorr asks, do you think Stuart Skinner gets too much flack from the fans' media, taking into account the defensive blunders in the system played in front of him? Is it fair or is it unfair? Is it go too far, Shogger?
Yeah, I think he gets too much flack. I think my overarching comment about Stuart Skinner would be to remind people how much money he makes and what he was supposed to be. Like, he was supposed to be developing as a starter at this point in his career behind Jack Campbell, right? And pushing him in the tail end of Jack Campbell's contract. Skinner was going to be pushing for that starting job. So I understand it. Goaltending has been a frustration in this town. He's front and center all the time. But I would just remind you kind of what his dollar figure is and, where he's at in his development. And he went to Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final last year. So, yeah, I'd say it's a little too much at times, even though it's been a down year.
Yeah, he takes a lot. Bouchard takes a lot. Those two guys are constantly under the light.
And I'll say one thing about Stu Skinner's game that a lot of people have noted, that they feel like one of his weaknesses is reading the play, and that's a real strength of Pickard's game. And I will say that's actually a big experience thing. I know that's something for me, and I never played at a high level, but yeah, I don't know, the more you play, you read plays better, you learn tendency, I don't know. I guess it's not a fair comparison for me to comment on that, but I think that's truly where there's room for growth still in his game at his young age, is reading the play. It comes with experience. That would be my one thought on that.
And he's still learning. He still is. We saw it in real time last season during the playoffs. So one thing Skinner was before was a good bounce back goaltender. That was a quality of his. So let's see if he gets game number 2. how he does bouncing back. Awesome contributions. Thank you so much, everybody. Past 1 o'clock here and still running strong on the stream, so we really appreciate you. Let's wrap up with our play of the day. Brought to you by Gallery Dental. Take the first step towards a stress-free dental experience with modern dentistry for today's patient with the most up-to-date dentistry, sedation, implants, and more. Contact GalleryDentalYEG.com. Struds, what wins it tonight, buddy?
Well, I mean, it was such a weird game tonight. I'm going to give the knuckle puck goal, and maybe that's what we should call it. The knuckle puck game-winning goal left in the game for the Kings.
Pick the Kings to win the series last pod, and you give the knuckle puck game winner play of the day this pod. You're like knuckle. Low-level trolling our audience.
No. But you have to admit, I mean, how else did you dub that? What, the knuckle puck? That's pure luck. Pure luck on the knuckle puck. And it rhymes.
Yeah.
I love it. Love the rhyming.
I mean, but bestowing it the play of the day honors presented by Gallery Dental. That's the low-level troll portion of it. Aaron St. Pierre says Strudwick killing us. Killing them. Okay. Anything else, Struds? Any final thoughts? Want to send the people away feeling
The Oilers are in playoff mode now, and they're going to come out and have a great first period on Wednesday. Write that down in your diaries.
All right.
Tonight.
I like it. Good stuff. Book it. Zuby, good job, buddy. We'll chat in a couple of days. And thanks to all of you for joining us on the stream. We really appreciate it. Remember, on Wednesday, the day of Game 2, we will have a Struddy's World. Right? What day is it today? It's Monday, right? So Wednesday, yeah. I'm losing track.
Right.
Wednesday, we'll have a Struddy's World from 12 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon on all of our channels. And then I got your back following the game. So tons of content coming your way. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.
Good night, guys.